Okay, let's get started the next session, that's session 2. I guess this session is all about the discussion. So we're gonna hear your, the situation and your thought, and finally we wanna discuss about, for the next APAN meeting in Thailand. So what we wanted to talk about and what we are, to discuss about, and during the, until the coming to the next APAN meeting, we will, under the working group, think about it and then build up the agenda for the next meeting. But before going to, the Sri Lankan here and listening the Sri Lankan situation, I want to kick off this session about Q&A time of the Marcus presentation. So do you guys have any question about or comments about the Marcus talk? He said, it's all about, the human being and people mind. It really takes a long time to changing the people mind, but we have to go further step by step. Otherwise, but compared with the Japanese situation, the Australia is too advanced, even in the people mind. So maybe the next month or next month, so we will invite the keynote speaker from the Queensland University, whose name is Paul Bonington, who was the leading the e-research center in the formerly in the Monash universities, now is Queensland, and he's leading the many of the supporters, the data steward in an institution, and hearing the interview with Paul Bonington, it seems like the Australian university is so advanced, even in the mind. Yeah,
it's worked 20
yeah,
years
that's
ago.
right. That's right. Takes a long time.
Only 15 years. Okay.
So, do you have anything you want to add in addition to your talk?
Not. I don't think there's anything I want to add as such. I think it's more about the topic of this discussion session now is what do we do? I think if we follow the discussion around the vision that we want to articulate, that's great. We need to flesh that out. What does it look like? And those of us here with technical or data management backgrounds, we can work on that. But how do we help Sri Lanka? How do we help Thailand? How do we help Taiwan, Japan, and others with things that speak specifically to them? Because the conversations are different. In Japan, you have different ministries, different structures, different funding programs. Sri Lanka has different ones as well. How do we help all of them? How do we scale out from what we managed to do in Australia? You can build on a lot of really good foundational work. There are lots of papers and things we can talk about. There's people with expertise. I can come and talk to you or Zoom anytime, and other people here can do the same. Because one of the things we talked about in one of our very first sessions was, what do we do next? Can we do it for everybody? And it's like, we can't do it for everybody. So who can we do it for? And who needs help with what?
Yes, problem with the funding too.
There's a problem with the funding too, but even just the cheap stuff of making information and expertise visible, saying, hang on, if you come from a funding body or a government agency or from an institution and you want some advice, who can I go and talk to? The discoverability of people is just as hard as the discoverability of data. So we can do a better job at making ourselves visible in that regard. That might help. And then maybe we see, hang on, Sri Lanka wants a paper or an outline or a description of something to help their arguments. Can we then reuse that somewhere else? And we just build slowly. One of the things that I didn't mention in my presentation is there was another 3-word phrase that we used a lot, actually 4 words. It's the ready, willing, and able. Ready, willing, and able. All right. So when you talk to a research community, are they ready to have the conversation? Are they willing to have the conversation? If you talk to the medical people, not so much. You talk to the geoscientists, absolutely. Astronomy, they've been doing it for a long time. And are they able? You know, are there people in that community who have the right kinds of skills? And then the same thing with government funding bodies and so on. You know, is the government open to hearing this? And in some cases, you know, I went and talked at a government a public service department. It was a Department of Education, Research, and something else. And they said, "Hey, can you come and talk to us about this data problem? We don't understand it." And I said, "Sure." And I talked for about 15 minutes, and I answered questions for 2 hours. All right, because they didn't know what the problems were, and they didn't understand what the benefits were of investing in this space.
To add to that, at the end of the session, the benefit of sharing data that the program, Landsat program, they charged before, and then they opened in 2008 for free. So people can use like 35 years of data for free, and then now 45 years whatsoever. And it happened that one guy, because of, and then when it opened, Google start to interest to host the data. So they just turn everything to USGS. You know, what the heck happened? Anything attack them? No, they just want to get all the data. And then one guy, Matt Hansen, doing the forest cover, but the university can only process, I don't know, maybe one time with their computer, only for 30,000 images of Landsat one time. But they want to do the globally, so they need to process like 10 million of the Landsat imageries. So Google saw that, and Google said, okay, we'll pay for it. That's now you have Google engine to use for free.
Yep.
You know, just when you open the data, and other people, I mean, like the big company, when they see the benefit, and they, you know, just grab on that, and that leapfrog everything quickly. After that, after the Google come and catch that, and then make Google engine. So, and many applications coming out for the disaster, for everything.
So you notice what Chai just did there. He's a champion for this, right? Because he made it real. He explained this was transformative to my research community. We did some technical things. We had some help. We ended up with this great result. Chai can now write 10 times as many papers as he could before. You know, that's all right. But I mean, there's other examples we used in Australia. So the Hubble Space Telescope is an interesting one, because when you get a grant to access the telescope and collect data, you don't get to own the data. You get a license to access the data exclusively for 18 months. And then it automatically becomes public. And they did that back when they launched back in the 1990s. And the nice thing is that we've looked at the outcomes of that data. And if you have a researcher who applies for the data, collects the data, analyzes it, writes a publication, on average, they get 1, 2, maybe 3 publications out of it. When the data becomes public, on average, there were at least 6 publications from the same data, right? So this multiplier of additional benefits, once the data became shared, you could measure it, you would quantify it.
Right. Feeding from that, the next program is like called the Continuous, the Copernicus. They're doing for Sentinel program. ESA decided to open Sentinel-1 and 2, and people using for free with higher resolution. Landsat can do that, but they have the legacy. That's why they keep the same resolution, but much better sensor quality. Okay, same resolution, but much better quality. And people get benefit.
Yeah.
You know, now they have like, I think like ESRI doing the land cover 10 meter globally for you to use for free. And then, ESA said that you use my data to do that. So we do it too. Now ESA has like a 10 meter resolution, better quality of the land use and cover change for the whole world. And you can use that for free as your base for your research. This is just for example. So you don't have to spend time to try to process everything. You can start from that. This is like the benefit of you open the data to the people, to all the researchers.
So maybe on parallel with knowing the
Still.
I'd like to thank all the speakers in the first session, firstly, for your excellent jobs and also presentations. I have 2 simple questions. The first one is that in terms of the open science, apart from data, maybe the software and also workflow should be treated in the same way. Yeah. So what's your comment and advice? The second thing is about interoperability. I think one of the primary challenges for the sharing is about the interoperability. I have some data and also software, many things to be shared, but how to let users to access to that? Yeah. Thank you.
So I can talk a bit about our experiences. On the software front, the general view is that there's all these open source publishing tools for open source software. One of the things that's come up is that some of the analysis tools that we used 20 or 30 years ago ran on computer hardware that's different to today's hardware. And some of it is actually a little bit sensitive to the architecture of the hardware. Now, this is kind of an edge case, but it's an interesting one because it means that if you take the same data and the same source code, compile it on a modern computer, you'll get a slightly different answer. And you need to understand that. And so there was a lot of discussion about archiving not just the software, but also the operating systems and having emulators to emulate the hardware. Now, I think that's a 1% problem, not a 99% problem. Archiving the software as another data thing, a data object, absolutely, that's fine. You can cite it, you can store it on the GitHub's equivalent of the world, or you can store it in repositories. I don't know anybody in Australia running a software archive repository in that sense, but it's come up a few times in conversations. So I don't have a great answer for that, but I'm totally aware of the problems there. Interoperability, the other one, fair. What's the I? All right. And so when we started making data visible in Australia, one of the first things we built was collection level discovery. Because we said, okay, culture change is really important, it's great, but people do want a little bit of technology because they want to see things, how they work and how they do it better. And so we started with a tool that became called Research Data Australia. And what we were doing was we were teaching institutions how to build repositories and how to put data into it and how to put metadata with it. And we had a national standard for collection level metadata, very high level, very broad, very vague, but it was like, what's the data about? Who collected it? How was it collected? When was it collected? What's its coverage in space and time? How do you get access to it? And where do I find out more? Right. So it was only a dozen or so fields to make it available. And then what we did in the middle through the Australian National Data Service, we ran Research Data Australia. It was just a harvester. And it went out to all the repositories that were ready, willing, and able to be harvested. And suddenly we went, oh, look, we've got a list of 10,000 data collections that we didn't know about. That service grew and grew. I think there's 100 and something thousand collections there now. But it's kind of plateaued because the searches that researchers make are a bit more complex. If you're a genomic researcher, you're going to be searching for data in a different way than if you're a geoscience researcher. Geoscience researcher will look for material types, locations, depths, three-dimensional spaces. Genetic researchers have a different coordinate system. So you don't combine those searches. So we now have more repositories that have specialized search engines. So interoperability goes only so far before you start having to become more discipline specific. So yeah, it depends what you're trying to achieve. I mean, I was talking with Busong before about, making data visible in Korea. And it's like, well, at a top level to say the data exists, you can do that. But if you then want to actually have a researcher actively using it, they're going to want to harvest all of these things at a much finer level of detail. We need to build something a bit more special for them. And that can be taken care of by their community. There was something else, but I've lost the train of thought, sorry.
You realize that we have data.apan.net, right? Yeah. And then
that was the idea, was put RDA behind it.
Right. And then the NII.
Yeah.
And Onami-san is not here, so
yeah. And also this is the idea from the AP Data Commons.
Yeah.
A sort of democracy.
And the other thing that I did remember was government data. So there are now a lot of data.gov.country code sites. they all have their own weird and wonderful way of how they populate the site, but at least they're thinking about it. And they're realizing that they themselves are collectors of data. I didn't mention that in my presentation, but government themselves have data to share. And they don't know how to share either. So we have to teach them, but that's more at the agency level, not at the policy level.
Thank you so much. Understanding the current practices and also the barriers is also very important. There are so many repositories for the past decades, but the keyword is reproducible or reusable. Yeah.
For the good case, reusable, UN Spider, they're doing for disaster about the burn area, and they have the process and code ready. You just fix a little bit, then you can have the burn area for your area. Just follow that step, and they use the system that you can access for free. Google Engine, just that. And then I saw many people doing it. It's like for Thailand, the whole country, it might take with the simple computer, maybe a few weeks to process. But for Google Engine, it's 5 minutes, just come out and you can have. But the problem with that is field validation. You need to go into the field and check, not believe it. You know, different country, different vegetation, they have different result. So that also need to have. Even the HII are now working with the JAXA and Restec to do it. I told you this morning that even they use the drone to validate what the product that using Japanese satellite to do the different type of the agriculture. Still wrong. It's not that easy. You know, you can have, they have like the camera, they're taking photo every 5 minutes for like a few months to validate, to see how the rice grow up or something like that. It still need a lot of ground validation also.
And that's one of the things that's very discipline specific.
Right.
So when you talk about the metadata, the collection level is like for anybody who has an interest they can search on.
And
but when you actually want to access the data, one of the metadata aspects is provenance. You know, is how did you collect the data? How much can we trust it? What's the quality? How can we validate it ourselves? All of that. And there are standards for that.
to be honest too. So
Yeah,
I
even though there are so many things we have to solve the problem for data sharing, but we are the APAN, so we want to think about what the inland can do for this, the many trial. So in Japan, we are now right now developing this kind of the infrastructure for the open science and the data sharing to support whole entire research data life cycle. But this is a top layer service. Behind this, the platform, as you know, we have a network, but network has already been connected to each other. So the network has a good interoperability. On top of the network, so we have a IAM session. So identity management, and in case of the identity management, they are already connected in terms of the standard, SAML standard. So they are the working very well and extending their activity to the many countries. So from viewpoint of the identity management, maybe we have the good success story in the future, still growing, but that they have interoperability. But beyond that, there are so many things we have to do. We have to think about as an interoperability. But right now, the many of the inland is just focusing on the network, identity management, and the sort of the cloud service. But in addition to that, so there is a good enough space as an inland have to think about, the inland can support for the open access and the data sharing activities. The ANET is also, as a part of the ARDC. So you are supporting many research tools for the open science and data sharing. And we are trying to, and the KISTI and started to think about, the many efficient tools. But, so the APAN has a twice a year meeting in each local place. So we would like to know from the local participants, So we invited from the NSF, the funding agency in this, the Sri Lanka, and would like to hear about their pain, what they expect to the end then, or even though the Marcus said that this is not all about the technical aspect, but we are the APAN. So in addition to the human mind, we also think about what we can do for the the NSF and the local activity. So the manager, can you introduce something about your local situation?
Thank you, sir. I am Manuja Karunaratne, Principal Information Officer from National Science Foundation. It's my privilege to address this audience today and must thank on behalf of the National Science Foundation, the Director General and the Chairman for the organization committee allowing and inviting us to present here today. Actually, National Science Foundation, I will briefly mention what is Science Foundation and what we are doing now and what we expect from in collaboration with APAN for our R&D development in the country. So as a Science Foundation is the apex body in Sri Lanka for research and development. And so we provide grant schemes, several grant schemes for our researchers to do their basic research and applied research. And also we provide some collaborative research opportunity and scholarship with international organization through our international license divisions. Basically, our mandate, Science Foundation mandate, is focused on R&D development in the country. Also, we have a Science and Technology Information Service Center. We call the National Science Library and Resource Center, where we mandated to provide centralized scientific information for the research community in the country. For that, we have several services developed and resource bases has been developed. And we have some international collaboration to publish open access publication in Sri Lanka. Then the other area is our institution mainly focused to science and technology promotion among the universities and schools to popularize science among the society, also one of the main mandate of NSF. So this wider area of NSF has to be achieved through a small staff. But our mandate has been achieving throughout last 54 years. We are established in 1968. So we have been working for science and technology development in Sri Lanka for last 55 years. Currently, what we are doing for our communities, basically, we are providing, as I mentioned, the grant for local researchers, and we do collaborative research with some international organization through the MOU programs. Also, we conduct research program for our students, school students, and we have established more than 1,200 school science societies and in universities as well to promote and educate school children, especially preliminary level and higher education level students, to encourage their science education. So in that area, we are doing a lot of activities in schools and universities. And R&D development side, we are, during last 15 years, like we are spending huge amount of money for R&D development, but due to lack of the financial in the government facing a huge financial issues in the country. So we have cut down our financial more than 70%. So that we are struggling with finding financial funding resources and collaborative opportunities from overseas and our funding collaborative partners. And also I take this opportunity today to finding and do collaborative works with our regional centers to enhance our research opportunities and to get harness some resources to our country. Even though every year through the UGC and individuals, central government is funding for our international subscribed databases. It nearly 400 million per year, and we found that it is sometime not sometime actually mostly subscribed several databases by the institution and a single database by several institution. So we found, and the ministry also and the treasury also concerned that the wasting of money by having a individual subscription scheme. So that NSF came forward and initiated a project called National Digital Library Consortium to set up a national level subscription scheme that was well accepted by the United UGC and the central government. Unfortunately, the proposal is being lined up for approval for the last 2 years because our financial from the treasury, since Sri Lanka is a free education up to the degree level, all the subsidies is done by the government, central government. So the due to the prevailing situation, the subscription fees for our local researchers to access the international high quality journals and research outputs, it's a huge challenge. That's why we insist the government to have a national subscription scheme rather than individual to provide more access to wider and equal access to our research community. Our institution are divided in several categories, hence the financial allocation is different. So that some institutions are very lack of access to information, and therefore the national level consortium will provide the wider accessibility to our research community, and that is line up, and we are waiting to work or find a some agency to sponsor this program. But at our level, we don't have any power to communicate or negotiate. I think we have forwarded our proposal to National Planning Department, and they are taking forward to get some kind of assistance from overseas. And apart from that, what the money is spent by the central government is a public money. As Professor mentioned earlier, the public money invested on R&D by our researchers should be available for access to the all community in Sri Lanka, because those research done by through the fund provided to the central government. So that as institution responsible for this, National Sound Foundation introduced two policies of open access and open publishing, especially one open access and open publishing policy for the universities who granted by the central government, and all the publication and research output should be made available for the public access or free of charge. So for the funding agency like NSF and other R&D institution, we have made another policy where we funding and get the commitment of researchers, whether they publish their articles in high impact journals in overseas, though they need to have a kind of a valuable research available through the funding organization to the general public to access it. So these are the some of initiative, and we recently the COA Foundation has released their open access criteria and publishing their data. So we are revamping our policies too, and want to enhance our policies and upgrade. I think there are so many initiatives in the APAN communities. They are publishing criteria. So we want to work with them and upgrade our open access policy, because as an NSF, as a national institution, the open access is the only solution for a country like us to get through this issue currently. So that we are encourage all of our researchers, even our journals to publish their articles in open access format. Thereby, there was a project initiated by the INAPS, International Network of Scientific Publication. So they initiated a project called JOL, Journal Online Project. We are a member of that, and NSF is the management partner of the Journal Online Project in Sri Lanka. Now we have 129 journals published in Sri Lanka, mostly scientific journals, are available online access. Now it's very popular among the university staff and academias, because there is no way of getting through their articles and their knowledge to mobilize to the world community unless if they have a funding mechanism for to access to the international high-end journal. So our journal platform is now getting very popular among them, and now we have more than 20,000 scientific articles available in open access platform. So NSF is promoting this platform to the other institution, other journals as well in Sri Lanka. This we are getting a very annually we are getting more than 300,000 users, and last year we got 150,000 downloads. So that's mean our research are now being able to access globally, and our people getting a lot of queries of collaborative research opportunities, sometimes paper presentations, and they get also some scholarship also when their publication are available in open access platform. So we see the opportunity and trends of publishing our resources in the open platforms. And we did a national digitization project 2011, and we implemented that digitization project in 25 Sri Lankan scientific institutions, including universities, departments, and R&D institution. The objective is to digitize the valuable Sri Lankan scientific literature generated in-house, and want to make it publicly available rather than researchers to visit there physically. Now the data are available online, and we have OCR format, upload the PDF documents to online, and with a Google search is possible to access all this information. That is only we implemented for 25 institutions, and we digitized 3 million scientific pages, and 25 repositories being implemented. Now 96,000 articles are available for online access, but there are another 75 institutions are requested to have their digitize their document and make it available online. Unfortunately, we make a proposal in 2020 from my division. That project also we conducted by our division in the institution, and that time the project cost also nearly 200 million, but that also is line up for seeking funding. So there are actually, if you see the trend of Sri Lankan education sector, when our people go abroad or they study in overseas, they are talented, very appreciated, and their opportunities are getting a lot of opportunities to work with the global community. But when we working in Sri Lanka, we have a lot of limitation of due to financial and other technical issues. That's why this kind of a forum is very valuable for us to get engaged with other regional networks, especially sharing of these are the requirements for NSF, like sharing of data among in our networking regional through the NSF or any other network to get a collaborative opportunity and provide access to our local researchers. Otherwise, if we need to start from the beginning to collect and harnessing data, it's a very difficult task. Since the machines and the data are already available, we need some mechanism to be in place to get the information access. Another thing is to increase the capacities of researchers and our library staff and our data science staff to meet the latest technology, what is being available in other developed countries and how they use their information effectively. So we actually learn, there are no programs, so we learn by heart online programs. Sometimes we go through the documents available internet and try to get the maximum request, fulfill the request by the researchers. So I think this is a very good opportunity for NSF as well. As a country, we need a new approach actually with parallel to the what other countries are doing. So that's why NSF as a national institution willing to collaborate with our colleagues and their networks and share their resources and build our capacities as well. So other thing is our requirement is to get the infrastructure development. So we earlier maintain our database in our computers, small laptops and all. But recently we purchased, not recently, 2016-17, we purchased a server. And some of repositories we have installed in that servers, but there are limitation of expansion of already the systems are outdated. And we need to go for a new system, and some repositories still couldn't make it public access because of the lack of resources. And also there are a lot of requests from the other institution where the NSF provide the technical training and know-how, especially library science and data repository development, library information system development. We do training and do the capacity building of libraries and other information officers in related institution. So there are many requests, but the capacity we are having is limited, and knowledge we need to upgrade of our all scientific staff. Actually, my institution, my divisions having 7 information officers, all graduates from computer science. And so very easy for our staff to acquire knowledge on especially latest technology. Most of them are master's degree having computer science. So I think I see this a very great opportunity having this conference this time in Sri Lanka. And you also see when I would like to invite a few of your gentlemen tomorrow morning to visit our Science Foundation, and we like to have a small dialogue with our management. And actually, the lessons we learn these 2 days there are tremendous opportunity for NSF. If NSF been empowered, our researchers in the university will be definitely benefited, because researchers in university are actually voiceless, and they are encouraged through the UGC, and they are itself cannot do anything, because the funding is the main component. So that if one institution in the country who are mandated to provide those facilities can be empowered, I think that is the most important. And I think this is a good venue to discuss this matter and see the opportunities for future collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So there is a person from the land inland in this room. No. So there's there's no conversation between the two. But that during the break, so so you had the good the work for the open access and the national site licenses. But that during the break, I heard from the researcher in this country, he's struggling with in addition to the when the researcher submit the paper. Nowadays, the many of the journal requested data, but he wanted to have more data repository, and having some collaboration with the NSF or NLN to support to build up such a kind of facility. So do you have something?
Yeah. So I already discussed with that, and now the main issue. Very recently, I attended the workshop conducted by the engineers and about AI, how to use AI against the COVID to share their experiences. So main issue they have raised is that medical professionals do not share data. And that is their main concern of them. To build AI, they need data. So, and now one good trend is there now. When you are publishing a journal in international medical journal articles, they request data which must be stored in public domain. So in that case, we have in our faculty now we recently established repositories where our researchers can store their data and department wise, which is act as a public domain. So when we are publishing an article, we must give that password protected or password to access the data, which is deposited in our website in a repository. So now that is a good trend, but there are many areas we need to improve, especially when sharing data related to the medical information and patients' data. So one thing is we can start with as Mike said, the benefits. We start with the benefits. What are the benefits we can have when we are sharing data, especially related to the medicine and the health sciences? So then from that points, I think we can approach to establish a system. Unless we show what is the profit of our commitment, as we are humans, we may not able to generate momentum. I think that's my idea. Thank you.
Actually, we don't have research data repository currently. That's why we need that kind of research data cloud to establish in Sri Lanka. Only we have the publication repositories. So that is also in PDF mode, and no analytical skills, data analytical skills is not being provided, and no software being provided for that. So we need to have, I found that professor who delivered lecture yesterday from Pakistan, professor, they have done some kind of a platform, common cloud platform with some application, so that we can have an account for the researchers to do analytical things with sharing data. So this actually, there is a network called HALIS network, Health Science Network in Sri Lanka. We are a member of that. I think there's a essential steps to be taken to have a scientific data repository, especially for healthcare sector.
Actually, as the National Science Foundation, we are in the process of developing a data repository, because for NSF funded grants, we have a database, but it is not, access is not given to outsiders. So we have felt as a funding organization, we have felt that researchers are not sharing data. So as a national institute, we are in the process of developing a database for research data. At the moment, we have a national instrument database. We have given and we have collected the information of all the instruments, testing and laboratory equipments in the country. So we have taken that to a common platform. Similarly, we are working on a research database. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good morning. And I'm Taranga Ranasinghe, representing the University Librarians Association of Sri Lanka. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity to attend this session. So as Mr. Manoj and the previous speakers mentioned, so access to libraries is necessary to access information, but the problem here is the libraries and the institutions face is basically the access to the literature, because they are usually behind the paywalls or the subscription issue. And in that sense, the open access, open resources becomes very important. So in Sri Lanka, as it was mentioned, we have open access repositories to deposit the articles that are published in journals, and also we have open access journals, over 100 open access journals on Sri Lanka Journals online platform. But what as a library professional, what I see is that we need to more open research culture in Sri Lanka. It's quite seems quite lacking, because usually the technology comes first, and then after that, when it is not functioning, then we try to introduce policies and etc. But I feel like the policies should come first, then they will become procedures, and then the technologies can be adapted. So we started a long time ago, maybe 15-20 years ago, with repository software, etc. And also we are really benefited with open source software for library automation and for repositories. But we are happy that at the national level the policies are introduced, but it has to be kind of the culture. So that kind of training things and the change in the mindset of from the administrators, for an example, in universities, from the University Grants Commission level to the university administration, to the deans, to the professors, and this culture of openness has to be cultivated, I feel. So then it will be easy for us as librarians to involve whenever necessary, with the benefit of the open source technologies, the softwares. If we have the policies implemented, so we are thankful that for the national and international kind of projects like the Sri Lanka Journals Online project of INASP, and also the NSF policies and their infrastructure. And also as librarians, we know that it was discussed regarding the interoperability. So it needs the metadata to enable to speak between the different systems. So for librarians, we can contribute in developing the necessary the metadata schemes or even to improve them according to the local or the regional needs. So I think the policies and also the networking is really important, so that we can share data at national and as well as the Asia Pacific regional level. And so we must thank the APAN and Learn, and we will be really interested in contributing to this the process as the university librarians. Thank you very much.
Okay. Just you are saying that changing the mindset of the policymaker is very important for you. Is it? Yes, I think so. Absolutely. Yes. If yeah, and difficult too. Well, it's not that hard as you think. Okay. Okay. I don't know that, but yeah, that's the thing that we need to do too. But Suhaimi is up. Please, Suhaimi.
Hello, my name is Suhaimi. I just have one question to the National Science Foundation and the Library Association. Are you aware of the Learn Identity and Access Federation of Sri Lanka?
Actually, not.
Not. Okay. There is a session which is actually in parallel to this session talking about identity and access management. And Learn Identity Federation is already part of the EduGain member. And, it will be nice if you can work together with Learn Identity and Access Management to try and expand the identity and access management, because it has one of the key point in open access and everything is as open as possible and as close as necessary. And identity federation and tiered access control is very important. So it is also very important for remote access. I remember it was mentioned about firewall. It was mentioned about IP bound. Those are being addressed by the identity and access management of Learn. They have been an EduGain member since 2019. So we help Learn. I'm from Sifulan, Malaysian Access Federation. We also have helped Learn, and we have always consistently have someone. I forgot the name of that lady, who will consistently be part and participated in our workshop. Probably she is already there. She's there in APAN in another session. So it would be nice if you could actually collaborate together and try and expand more. Because I noticed you said you have 145 research institutions and universities. And I noticed under the federation, I think the number is only less than probably 20 that are participating. So something that is useful for all of you in terms of tiered access control, because that is one part of the open access component.
Thank you very much. I think we can get in touch with our Learn administrators to get the facility to NSF. Thank you so much.
I think maybe Kasu, you can tell more a little bit about this because you are the one who make it happen. So yeah, you can give more detail. More detail about what Suhaimi.
Yes, it's unfortunately this is a parallel session. So there's an identity and access management working group in this APAN, and we are supporting to build up each individual country to build up their own identity federation. So this is a kind of the single sign-on and login system. And by using the institutional login system, they can log into the big publishers, you know, the Elsevier journal article or the Spring and Nature. But so this is also, you know, the one of the opportunity to collaborate with, you know, with the LAN, and not only the data platform, but also the different kind of the technologies to support your, you know, national site licensing activity and also the open access repositories. So by using this identity and access management architecture, the university people can log into the NSF repository by using their login system, and that the NSF service can recognize the faculty member and the student coming from a certain university. So this is a useful architecture. So maybe we have to collaborate with.
Just to add to that, maybe Irina would like to add about the importance of federated identity in terms of getting bulk negotiation of library subscription from major publisher. Irina?
Well, I think you already covered that it's really important, and it's a system that enables remote access to subscription e-resources, which is also important, because then researchers and students could have access not only from university premises but also from their homes. So I agree that it's very useful and very important, and it would be good to have a conversation with Sri Lanka Research and Education Network about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add a small piece of metadata. The IAM working group is having sessions every single day. So the Federation updates are happening tomorrow. So there's a couple of sessions you probably want to try and get to, I think in the afternoon from memory. You can find it on the app. Yeah, I think they're both in the afternoon. So yeah, so sorry, there's a couple of times it got mentioned that it's in parallel to this session. That's a different specific workshop, IAM activity. But we can introduce you guys. Sorry, metadata.
Yeah.
So is there any person who wanted to say about a related to the Sri Lankan activity and also your country's activity in terms of the data sharing and data platform? And also if would like to have more deeper collaboration with the technical guys. So if not, so we want to move on to the, so you have something you want to say?
No, it's just like just before when they finished, I just like can the Kasu-san recommend to, you know, but already answer.
Yeah.
That
Since you know that there's no, the appropriate person from the land, the inland in this room.
yeah,
So
it's,
maybe
I-
during the, the lunchtime and that dinner time. So you have to you guys have to have more, the deeper discussion with
Sri Lanka, to know more.
yeah.
We have to get together with them and see the current status. That I don't know that they are here or not. Probably not. But start from that because already there and expand. Yes. Yeah, they were. That's why I took the photo. They're asking the group photo, and they all disappear. Just,
Yeah, something happened. Yeah. But
typical.
the break time is so important. So yeah, let's cooperate with them.
Right.
The Russian. And we are, trying to do this kind of, the local collaboration in each country. So, so next APAN meeting in Thailand. So we want to also focusing on the, the Thailand, the local situation, and also like to, the gather the, your wish or what you wanted to discuss or what we can do for your local activity. So if there is something,
Oh
so,
yeah, many will.
Yeah.
But the deputy director not here. He's supposed to be here around somewhere. He's here from the university network, which is part of Thailand that we're trying to make it happen. So they own all. I mean, not own. They service the internet for all the university in Thailand. So and then the librarians connecting everything connect to that. So yes, definitely have a lot of things to discuss.
So in addition to that Sri Lankan and the Thailand, so I want to know more about the your situation in Taiwan. So yeah.
In short, because we've been working together as part of the European Science Open Science Cloud as the Asia Federated efforts for the disaster mitigation. Yeah. So the first thing that we've been working on 1 or 2 dozen of case study in the past 5 years. So I like to push some of the accomplished case study to be reproducible, to be shared. So that's not just the data collected during the course, but also the analysis softwares and tools. Some of the tools has been the web portal right now. For example, the tsunami simulation things. That's the first thing. Within the APAN family, conducted by the disaster mitigation working group, and probably also the cloud working group together. Yes, of course we need advice and recommendation from the open sharing working group, supporting us for this, as an example or a reference. But that's just that's the final solution because the environment and also the technology will keep evolving very fast. So I think the make the case study shareable in the long run need continuous efforts from the community. Yeah. The other thing in Taiwan that as we learned from the European Open Science Cloud, the first thing is that for the moment, we like to support the making use of the Jupyter Notebook to make the scientific applications shareable more easily than ever. The first thing that we've been working together about the digital archive from year 2000. So we learned a lot about the context analysis by making use of the metadata of the process. So that will be continued. So, but it's still challenging to share most of the contents from the museum or from the archive. Yeah, it's not easy, but at least we can have a repository of the metadata. You can understand who has some collections and it could be accessible in what way. Yeah, That's the first steps.
Okay, so maybe that they're going back to your keyword, reproducibility and the software. So on the first session, so there was the Kisti guy who mentioned about software heritage.
Right.
So this is the one of the
Jun, what
repository.
is his name? Jun Yok. Busong Lee. Busong Lee. From Kisti, yeah.
From Kisti, but software heritage itself is run by the
Busong Cho. Okay. Busong Cho. Yeah.
Anyway, that platform itself is run by the French organization, Software Heritage. But the related to that, the reproducibility, we're also trying to do something about the packaging, the standard. For instance, the data and the software, the code that, for instance, Jupyter Notebook packed into the one files, and the open that in the files, package file in public, and the easily to reproduce the research output by the other the researchers or something like that way. So in the maybe the next APAN meeting, I'm gonna bring the person who is trying to do make a standard about the reproducibility by using the Jupyter Notebook and the software and also the research data. And maybe would like to have more deeper discussions. So what we can do for the Asia Pacific data commons.
Yeah, that's our goal, right? I forgot. Right.
So what's a vision or
data common? Yes.
The data commons. So we want to do something, the progress about your, the image and our dream. So and APAN also, like to support, and try to build up the kind of such a commons. So as APAN, so this is a good idea.
Yeah, just make me realize that the draft that Marcus have drafted, I think we have to finish it. I think it's like 3-4 years now. Maybe 2 years. Okay, but we have to finish it before next APAN so we can distribute it. Right. Forgot. Yeah, sorry.
So is there any additional idea for the next APAN meeting? So maybe that we're gonna occupy the two slots. The one is like this first session, more broader, the introduction about the data sharing, and the latter one, the second session is more deeper discussion, or like to have some country update from each individual countries, if possible. Yeah.
Maybe we could have, if many requests, or we see that we might have 3 sessions instead of 2, additional.
One thing I'd be interested to have more of is people like Manuja come along to talk about the policy makers and the funding bodies and their needs, because we have a lot of researchers at APAN meetings. We have lots of technology people, but having librarians and government people is really, really powerful. And there are networks of those people that we don't see at APAN meetings. So I don't know if you know your equivalents in other economies, perhaps, that you would introduce us to. I mean, your recommendation would mean a lot more because you know the right people. Because if we go to the government, it's a big website and there's 10,000 people. Do you know in any other economies the people that are interested potentially or convincible around research data management and so on, so we can start to help them with the culture conversation? Like you're the best lead we've got to start with.
Actually, data requirements is now still not conveyed to NSF because they know we don't have such a facility. But publication wise, they are connecting with NSF and our library network to share information and get articles. But they know we don't have kind of shareable research data. That's why individually we have got several through our librarians request to have a kind of a national. One is to store national research data and then expand it to get the outside regional data to their research activity. So that collaboration also we need to establish.
Yeah, okay, I have the idea. Just to talk with Eric that Eric is the chair of the cloud system that could be. It could be like you, if allow, you could Eric could host up.
Yeah, if that's useful, yes, we can provide some resources, cloud resources from Taiwan. Yes, sure.
Yeah, but it's like a security thing. That's the concern that you need because it's going to be Sri Lankan data in Taiwan. But with the internet, you can. Now you can. And yes, you can.
So there, I think identity management mechanism should be in place before we are interconnected with the outside repositories.
So at the beginning, maybe you can borrow the help from the different country or, the resources existing to the different country, but, the data itself is the asset of this country. So if you think about, long-term operation, so it's better to, to collaborate with the local institution or the service providers or learn people. But, at the beginning, it's so hard, to get the recognition from the LAM people. If you cannot get good collaboration, it's a good idea to get the resource from the outside of this country. But that this is just the initial phase.
Yeah, and just to show that this can be done, and then you can get this cloud system for, I think, for free. Can say that.
For a pilot project.
A whole pilot project for free. So you just test it out and see, and then let them know in the country. Then when you're ready, so you know the process, you can move it back or whatever. Yeah. It's up to you.
It actually comes back to my point in my slide: show, don't tell.
Right.
So if we can build some demonstrators, so if we could even do a mock-up on Eric's facilities of something that looks useful to Sri Lanka, we can at least show, and you can then show your government, and maybe that's something we can do for a whole bunch of economies. Just something to think about as well.
So this is about, the question is about community engagement. So I heard the word research software engineer where Marcus was presenting. So my question is, because research software engineer does not exist like a role, a working job title, so I cannot influence people to get involved in the community. So what are some ways that I can help with the like convince people to join the community sessions, talk to me or talk to the RSC community? What are some ideas? And I'm also thinking of proposing a task force at APAN for RSCs. So who are the key people that I should be talking to?
Okay. Maybe at the beginning we can work together, so having launching the different many type of the working group doesn't work well. So maybe we can as one of the pillar of this the open data sharing the working group. So maybe we can launch or we can occupy one session to think about the research software engineering. This is also the very important aspect. Not only the PhD people, not only the library people. So there are so many different kind of the people supporting the data collection and the data curation. So or also developing the software and supporting the infrastructure itself. It's so important. We have to think about the career path and also the position of that in the person.
It's actually a great question because it actually ties in with what Irina was talking about before, is that there's a huge workforce of people supporting research. They're not the network engineers, they're above that level. They're the ones who develop the software, the ones that take care of the data, that manage the metadata. And there's a very blurry line between taking care of data and writing software and so on. And I found that in the workforce survey I did in Australia was the definitions of all those different jobs was really hard. and people didn't self-identify as a research software engineer or as a data steward and so on. So maybe there's something we can do around a workforce or research support workforce, which is that level above the network engineers. Yeah, whether we do it as part of this group or we have we can just do a BOF, right? You can have a BOF anytime.
Hopefully the other chair working group reply the email or request, because usually they don't.
No, that's right.
We tried before, nobody
Yeah.
replied, except Eric.
Just trying to think of who else we can find.
So would it be more suitable to do this as a part of open and sharing data working group or as part of the Asia Pacific research platform? There is one more.
That's
So
actually a good idea. You should raise it with them. But I mean, I think you could look at having a birds of a feather session on your own. It doesn't have to be a task force because they're long lived and they have to have a structure and so on. But just having a session on the workforce. And there are people in this community. APRP is another really good idea because there's lots of developers in that community. And probably even in some of the working groups like agriculture. I know there's software development going on, telemedicine. But if you have some information that you want to set up a BOF, APAN can help you share that.
Sure.
That's what the general manager does.
That's why.
That's why she's looking a bit nervous.
And also
yeah.
This is all about the NLM. So in case of Japan, many of the NLM, the member is a faculty member is having a PhD, but also we are doing something about the research software engineering and also the engineering. So not only so in our case, our output is not writing the paper, but producing the software and producing the the services itself. So it's very close. The activity itself is very close to the RSE. The think about RSE itself. So it's so important as a APAN.
Is that okay, the manager? Oh, yes. yes. So. Yeah.
So we are running the time. There's
there's a hand up, please. Yes, Elena.
Thank you. Maybe another idea for Thailand. There is an interesting research unit on tropical health network in Mahidol University. Mahidol Oxford tropical unit, and they are doing interesting things around data sharing. They have a good data sharing policy, so maybe they could be invited as speakers for the next session in Thailand.
Okay, I already have a quick chat with the chair of telemedicine. I said, bring all if you could in Thailand, because a lot of the interested party. Yes, but quickly I have to talk to him again. But he okay, because this is the current session is like a Sirirat hospital hosted, but online from Thailand. So yes, we'll do. Yes.
So is there anything who wanted to add more about our conversation? And if not, so we are almost running out of time.
Yeah.
And maybe so next month or before the winter season, so we have to have some TV conference to summarize, or after just after this APAN meeting, we want to summarize some the discussion note or the things we have to think about before the next APAN meeting.
I don't know how to contact you, or you could join us to have discussion online.
And I would like you guys to join to the mailing list. How to do that?
Well, send email to me. I'll add you, because I'm the one who manage it. Nobody manage it. Yeah. Yeah. Put the request, but you have to move this.
It's not yet connected to the internet.
Yeah. It's
not sharing.
oh no, they have to switch it up. So it's the email you can put the request to is OSD OSDWG dot APAN.net.
This moment.
Yes. Oh, not yet. Okay.
So maybe we have to.
Really? No, it's just up. Oh, last time it just happened.
Doesn't recognize this.
It did. It did before. No,
Already.
no. It did before.
Yeah.
Marcus used this. I used this. It's fine.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, now it's. Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. It's just the email that you can put the request. It's just OSDWG.APAN.net. It's at APAN.net that you can send the request to. So it's like yeah. And just like yeah, I tried it. It's just oh. I think it's in the specs here. Anyway, I type it in here for you. WZ. Oh, WZ. Okay.
And also
Can- Pardon?
sec@APAN.net.
Oh, okay, yeah, and
That can help me get subscribed.
yeah, help a lot.
Yeah.
Not to me only. Okay. Those are two that you can send the request. We'll add you. So when we gonna have like online meeting, as Kasu-san mentioned, we announce it there, so everybody can attend if you have time. But probably we're not gonna go through the process asking, are you available? Are you available? Are you available? Because it's gonna be a chaos. There's gonna be too many people. So we'll see that appropriate time. And if you could join, please join. But send the request. Sean will approve it, or I will approve it for you to join the working group email list. Okay. Or you have any question, you just post in there. And yeah, any question, any request, you can post in there. Okay. Oh, okay. Then well, has been a long day, a long morning. Probably you are hungry. It's lunchtime. And then surprisingly many people come. We are really pleased to see. And if you have anything, you know the email, and then any requests, send in there. Some at the beginning, I understand we cannot do much. The Indian professor, he requests a lot, many things, but we couldn't do it, and then they disappear. But it's a nature. We don't have all the power. We don't have all the funding. We don't have all the technology. Maybe we have all the technology around here, but we will try to help you as best as we could and to make it better. Because as we know now, you can tell, to share the data, like I give the example, because of the climate change problem. And this is the way for us to catch up, how to not adapt, how to survive, how to be resilient when something happens. Like now, the typhoon hit Japan and all the flooding, but I heard that another part, northern part, all drought. No rain, just drought. So to share the data, to share the technology is the way. Is the way that you catch up, to try to cope yourself with what's coming to you. You cannot stop it. Somebody said you can't stop it. I don't think so. But when it comes, you'll be resilient enough to, get up and fight again. So hopefully, if not seeing you all in Thailand, in APAN 57 in Bangkok, you could join online. You'll see about that. But how many sessions we're gonna have? Usually we will have 2 sessions, but if many, we could add to 3. You know, we don't know that yet. So thank you very much for coming and participate. And yes, thank you very much for the online participant. The Dr. I, you need to come to Bangkok next year. And Irina, trying to find a way to support the traveling, but so far I don't have it. Yes, thank you very much. So Jaime, you can take the train up from Kuala Lumpur, go and stay in Hat Yai for a few days and come up, okay?
Fly. Cannot take train
Fly.
too long. Too long. Okay.
Right. And other online participants, thank you very much. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for all of us. Thank you. Thank you. Lunchtime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.